Okay, imagine this. You've got a 17-year-old girl. She's got dreams of travel, a new camera from her boyfriend, and she's heading to the airport. Then she just vanishes right near the terminal. And her disappearance, it leads police to, well, a truly bizarre scene. We're talking a car with a license plate altered with, like, tape and a house that sounds more like a landfill than a home. It's unsettling. So today our mission in this deep dive is to really unpack the layers here. We're looking at the articles, the research, all the notes around the tragic disappearance and murder of Pheobe Bishop. We want to extract the most important insights, look at the strange details, the conflicting accounts, the evidence, to really understand what happened to this vibrant young woman. You're basically getting a shortcut to understanding a case that's as confusing as it is just heartbreaking. So let's start with Pheobe Bishop herself. Fee, her mom, Kylie, called her that. People described her as really lively, charismatic, a bit sassy, someone who definitely followed her own beat to life. And she loved cars, dreamt of travel, was just getting into photography. Her boyfriend, Levi, had just bought her a digital camera, actually.
Yeah, a gift she was really looking forward to getting on this trip. But what's really crucial to understand about Pheobe, I think, is that under that vibrant surface, her life was, well, it was quite unstable. She wasn't living with her parents, had a pretty complicated childhood, lots of moves.
Right.
Which is how she ended up in this kind of unusual living situation in Gin, Queensland. She was sharing a house with two people, James Wood and Tanika Bromley.
And they weren't really friends, were they?
No, not at all. Practically strangers, really only connected through Phoebe's mom. And you saw it on her social media. She really disliked Gin, called it a sad place, talked about wanting to explore, get out. And this whole situation, the difficult living arrangement, that strong desire to escape it, well, it unfortunately might have created a vulnerability. It seems potentially significant to what happened next.
And it wasn't just a vague dream of leaving. Her plans were solid. Bags packed, ready for flights from Bundaberg to Brisbane, then on to Western Australia to meet Levi. She was last seen that morning, May 15th, 2025, about 8:30 a.m. Security footage caught her on Airport Drive in Bundaberg.
Yeah, carrying her luggage, just wearing a green tank top, gray sweatpants, casual, ready to fly.
So close to the terminal.
Exactly. And that's the immediate critical thing for investigators. Despite being so close, literally minutes away perhaps, Pheobe never checked in, never seen at the terminal.
Just vanished.
Yeah. Her family reported her missing on May 18th after she didn't respond to calls or texts, and that kicked off the police investigation into what they pretty quickly called a bizarre situation, especially for Bundaberg, which is seen as, relatively safe.
That detail seemed so close, then nothing must have set off alarm bells immediately.
Absolutely. Huge red flag for detectives right from the start.
So with Pheobe missing, the police started backtracking, right? Looking at security footage.
Yeah, meticulously.
And it didn't take long before that gray Hyundai i35, the same model her housemates owned, popped up on Airport Drive around the time Pheobe was last seen.
And that lead took them straight to James and Tanika's house in Gin.
And what they found there, it sounds horrific.
Yeah, the descriptions are stark. A pile of filth. A makeshift garbage dump.
Wow.
The house was apparently barely habitable. Horrid inside. Piles of trash everywhere. Ripped food packets, dog food, stained bedding, chains, dog waste, dog toys. Just squalor.
It's awful to even imagine.
And this kind of environment, this level of neglect, it often signals something deeper to investigators. It's not just messy, especially when you factor in that they later found several deceased dogs on the property.
Oh, my God.
Now, the official finding was natural causes, but the landlord had already given Tanika notice to leave, and neighbors had complained about a terrible smell. When you put it all together, it paints this really disturbing picture of indifference, a disregard for well-being that could tragically extend beyond animals. It's a major warning sign.
It's sickening. To think Phoebe was living there. And when the police first talked to James, he was 34, Tanika 33, they initially seemed, cooperative.
Surprisingly so, yeah. They had a story ready. They claimed they drove Pheobe towards the airport that morning, but they said about a kilometer away, she got a call from Levi.
Okay.
A really heated argument, apparently. They said she got shaken up and very edgy.
Right.
So their story was they stopped the car, got out for 5 to 7 minutes to give her space.
Give her space.
Yeah. And when they got back in, the car was empty, Pheobe and her luggage gone.
And they just left after.
They said they assumed she made her flight and just drove home. Didn't check, didn't drive the extra kilometer to the terminal, nothing.
That doesn't sit right, does it?
Not at all. That was the immediate problem for detectives. The story is just implausible. Why assume she made it, especially after a supposed dramatic argument? Why not check? That lack of basic human concern, particularly from people supposedly responsible for dropping her off safely, coupled with the fact she was never seen at the airport, it made their account highly suspicious right away. It speaks volumes.
And it wasn't just the story. The car itself became a huge issue, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Another massive red flag. Investigators noticed something crucial about that Hyundai i35 sitting in the house.
What was it?
Its license plate, it read 474BW8, but the plate caught on the security footage near the airport, that was 414EW3. Different plates.
So they changed the plates.
Well, not exactly. This is where it gets almost comically amateurish. It wasn't an official change, not a stolen plate. Someone had altered the original plate 414EW3 using electrical tape and black paint.
No way, yeah.
To make the 1 look like a 7, the E look like a B, and the 3 look like an 8.
Incredible.
It gets better. The Hyundai logo on the back of the car, replaced with the Toyota logo, scribbled onto a strip of paper.
Scribbled on paper?
Scribbled on paper. It's baffling. To investigators, this kind of botched disguise, it's not just evidence, it's a glimpse into the mindset. Either extreme desperation, or maybe, just maybe, they thought this would actually fool someone. It suggests they weren't exactly criminal masterminds.
Unbelievable. So you've got the horrific house, the shaky story, this ridiculous car disguise. Surely that was enough.
You'd think so. But the key thing initially was, despite all these highly suspicious elements, police lacked direct evidence linking James and Tanika specifically to Pheobe's disappearance itself.
Oh, okay.
The evidence was circumstantial at that point regarding her vanishing. So, astonishingly, they were initially free to go while the investigation deepened.
That must have been incredibly difficult for Pheobe's family to understand.
Absolutely. A very frustrating period, I imagine.
But the investigation didn't stall, did it? Things shifted focus.
Right. About 8 days into the search, on May 23rd, police turned their attention very specifically to Goodnight Scrub National Park.
And why there?
Pheobe's phone records. They provided that crucial breadcrumb trail pointing towards that area.
Okay, so the phone was key. What did the records show?
Well, Levi had definitely called her that morning, the day she disappeared. But later, at some point, the phone was manually switched off.
Switched off, not just ran out of battery.
Correct. Manually powered down. And it was never turned back on. Police believe it was taken from her either right before or during whatever happened. Deliberately switching it off like that, it strongly indicates someone trying to prevent tracking or communication. Foul play, basically.
So police focus on Goodnight Scrub National Park. What did the search involve?
It was extensive. Specialist police units, the dive squad, searched waterways and land.
And they found things.
They did. Pretty quickly, they found several pieces of evidence indicating, as they put it, a gruesome crime.
Oh.
Those items were immediately sent off for forensic testing. But there was another strange detail.
What was that?
Police found it bizarre that some of this evidence seemed to have been moved before they got there.
Moved. So, another attempt to cover things up.
It certainly looked that way, suggesting someone came back to the scene, perhaps trying to hide things better, more desperation.
And this is when things started circling back directly to James and Tanika again.
Exactly. During this period, while the park search was intense, police also found firearms and ammunition.
Where?
In James and Tanika's home, and also inside that Hyundai i35.
Oh.
That discovery led to their arrest on June 5th. And it's significant because, remember, this was before Pheobe's remains had actually been located.
They were arrested for homicide before the body was found.
Yes. Based on the accumulated evidence, including the items from the park and the firearms, there's body cam footage from the arrest apparently showing James looking completely emotionless.
Chilling.
And then the very next day, June 6th, the worst fears were realized. Human remains were found.
Whereabouts?
On a back road near the edge of Goodnight Scrub National Park. The description was just awful. Looked like they'd been tossed out without a care.
God. Just heartbreaking.
Utterly. And then on June 17th, the official confirmation came via DNA. The remains belong to Pheobe Bishop.
Devastating news for her family.
A terrible confirmation. So at that point, the case fully transitions. It's no longer a missing person inquiry. It's unequivocally a homicide investigation. The focus shifts entirely to bringing her killers to justice. Her exact cause of death hasn't been made public, but the gravity of what happened was undeniable.
So with the remains identified and James and Tanika under arrest, What were the specific charges?
They were charged with 1 count of homicide and also 2 counts of interfering with a body.
Interfering twice.
Is
Does
it?
that tie into the police theory about her body being moved?
Precisely. The police working theory became that Pheobe was likely attacked in the Hyundai right after being seen on Airport Drive on May 15th. Then, they allege, her body was moved, initially hidden somewhere, perhaps near the park where the first evidence was found.
Right, where things looked like they'd been disturbed.
Exactly. And then moved again 2 days later to that final spot on the back road where she was eventually discovered. Police stated they have evidence linking James and Tanika to moving her body.
And the charges reflect that alleged movement and concealment. Did they offer any motive? Or did James?
Well, James did give an interview to the Daily Mail. In it, he tried to paint Pheobe in a negative light. He claimed she had a habit of bursting out in anger, even said she'd once smashed their TV. He implied there was serious resentment.
So trying to shift blame, suggesting she provoked something.
It certainly reads that way, but you have to weigh that against everything else we know.
Like the state of the house, the dead dogs.
Exactly. The deplorable living conditions, the animal neglect, the firearms, those incredibly clumsy attempts to disguise the car. His credibility as a narrator is, frankly, almost zero. It looks like a pretty standard attempt by an alleged perpetrator to vilify the victim.
And didn't some witnesses say Pheobe looked unwell before she disappeared?
Yes, that's another crucial piece. Witness statements from people at a local store just days before she vanished described her looking weak and hungry. Someone even said it was almost as if she'd been held against her will.
Wow.
So if James's claims about her anger were true, why wouldn't she have mentioned any conflict to Levi? Or seem distressed in that way? The witness account suggests something else entirely, perhaps, that she was genuinely fearful of James and Tanika, maybe even controlled to some extent, that she couldn't speak freely.
It just adds another layer of tragedy, thinking about her final days and what she might have been going through. And it brings us back to her own background, doesn't it?
It does. Her life wasn't easy. That complicated childhood, no stable father figure, constantly moving. You saw hints of that pain on her social media, didn't you? That TikTok video you mentioned about her dad letting her down one last time.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And it highlights the complexities. There was even conflict within her own family about her mental state after she went missing. Her aunt, Cass Johnson, apparently raised questions, but her mother, Kylie, strongly denied any issues and accused her sister of, creating a circus.
So family tensions adding to an already difficult situation.
Yeah. And that kind of instability and conflict, it can leave a young person feeling really isolated, which might explain, in part, why she ended up living with virtual strangers like James and Tanika. Maybe, sadly, it felt like the only affordable or available option for her at that time, despite the obvious risks we can see in hindsight. It's a search for stability that ended in the worst possible way.
Phoebe's funeral was held at the end of June, wasn't it? June 30th, 2025.
Yes, in Bundaberg.
And they asked people to wear bright colors.
They did. To honor her love for all things vibrant, she was remembered as cheerful, someone who loved singing, dancing, hugs.
Just a terrible loss of a young life with so much potential.
Absolutely devastating for everyone who knew her, and the legal process continues. As of our sources, the case was awaiting a court hearing in August. The hope, obviously, is for justice for Phoebe, for answers and some measure of closure for her family, who have been through an unimaginable ordeal. This deep dive hopefully helps keep her story understood.
So wrapping up this deep dive into Phoebe Bishop's murder. It's just a profound tragedy, isn't it? The brutal killing of a 17-year-old girl, the absolutely shocking environment her alleged killers lived in, and those, well, baffling and almost comically inept attempts to cover it all up, which ultimately pointed police right towards them.
It's a case with so many disturbing layers.
Yeah, and it forces you to look beyond just the crime itself. So here's something to think about for you listening. This story really shows how different layers of human behavior can intersect, doesn't it? You've got the extreme neglect you see in that house, these desperate, clumsy attempts to hide a terrible crime, and how all that intertwined with Phoebe's own vulnerabilities, her own difficult life circumstance. It makes you consider maybe the hidden struggles people face, the signs we might miss, or even the really difficult choices people feel forced to make when they think they have no other options left. What do you see differently now about the hidden lives around us?